Hi everyone, my name is Callie Binkowski. I'm an academic technologist at the University of Minnesota, and today I'm going to do a very short video to show you how to create an assignment. I'm going to show you how to create one that you just need to enter scores manually into, and I'm going to show you how to create one where students turn things in online. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of due dates, so you are all set to create assignments. Begin by going to your Canvas class. Here I'm in my sandbox. There are no real students in here. And what you need to do is find your assignments menu item, and you click on that. Once you're in there, to add an assignment is pretty easy. Your assignments categories are set up here as groups, and you can either add an assignment by clicking on the plus sign by one of the groups. This will allow you to enter it very quickly into one of the groups. Or you can do it by just clicking the plus right up here at the tippy top to plus assignments. So that's what we're going to do. First thing that shows up is the details. So you would put in the assignment name. Here you put in a description. It is worth putting in a description even if you are doing an assignment in class, so that students who see this know what the assignment was and when they're going to get it done. So for example, this could be complete the group work in class. Okay, I know those two don't go together, but we're going to do that. The next settings are points, which you change right here. And here's where you can choose which assignment group it goes in. We were just at the assignments list, and there were the different groups or categories of assignments that you have. This is where you would go ahead and set that. So I'm going to put this one into assignments. I have a couple of duplicates in here. Typically you show grades as points. You can see there is an option here to not count this assignment towards the final grade, since we are going to begin by talking about how to turn something in, how to create an assignment that you can just manually enter scores in. We're not going to do this. So what you do here is you choose which type of submission it is. Now, typically, something you're just going to enter points on is going to be something that is not submitted because it's like participation in class or something along those lines, so you would choose no submission. Notice a few things change along the way. Another option you might have is that they're turning it into you on paper, you're going to grade it and then manually enter scores. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. This is not a group assignment, so I'm not going to do that. It doesn't require peer reviews. And then down here we have the due dates. So this is going really fast, so I just want to reiterate. At this point you would put in the due dates, and I'm going to talk about due dates in a second, and this would be an assignment that would show up in your gradebook, and you can just enter the scores manually right there in the gradebook, or you can go to SpeedGrader and enter the grades there as well. If you want the students to submit something online so you can grade it online, and the scores will then be entered online, all you choose is this one, online submission. There are several options. Text entry has the students actually typing their answers into a text box right there on the computer. Copy and paste works pretty well. There is now a word count for this option if you want it. If you wanted them to create a website and you just want the website URL, you can do that here as well. You don't need to use this for assignments where students are typing up a Google Doc. They can just submit that as a file, and I would recommend that, because if they submit it as a URL, students will be able to change that website and your access to it after they submit it and after you've graded it. So things can get confusing. So this is just for actual websites you want them to do. They can submit media recordings. We don't use that so often. File uploads is the most typical one. You can restrict file upload types. You do this by entering the extensions like a .docx or whatever. I would just usually set this for file upload. So this allows students to submit a file. If your school is Google integrated, which ours is, they can literally submit a Google Doc directly from their Google Drive directly here in Canvas. So it's a very quick, easy thing to do. So one last time, no submission, meaning they didn't actually do anything to turn in, and you're going to score them. On paper, they're turning in a piece of paper you're going to grade and enter the scores manually. Online, they're turning in a file online that you will grade online, and then the scores will show in Canvas. Okay, so I'm going to go back to on paper. And then down here, I'm going to talk about these due dates. It is really important to put in due dates. Students need to know when assignments are due, and they prefer knowing these things many weeks in advance, especially for large assignments like tests or papers or reports. So our recommendation always is put in an actual due date, even if it's towards the end of the semester. Let's say they have a final paper due on this Friday. And then if you don't want them working on it yet, rather than not publishing it, we always recommend you publish all of your assignments, because once they're published, the due dates are visible for students. If you don't want them, however, to work on it yet or see the instructions yet, that's what this button is for. So let's say I only want them to start working on this after we've made it through the midterm, which is on March 16th. So now this is due on April 29th. Students cannot access it until March 16th, but the due date and the assignment name will show in Canvas for them. So they'll know there's an assignment due on this date. The last thing is the until date. This is about late assignments. Students can submit and resubmit to this assignment as often as needed if you do not put this in here. You will see all of their submissions in SpeedGrader. If you want a hard deadline where you will not accept late assignments, you just take your due date and make it also your until date. So it's due on this date, and they only have until then to get it done and turn it in. If you would take it a day late or a week late, you just change the date so that it shows. Here, I'll take them up to a week late. And then all you have to do is save. And as I said, highly recommend that you save and publish. So let's say you've done this and you're wondering where to go to grade all this stuff. I'm just going to very quickly show you this. In grades, the assignment will now show. I believe I called this one Reading 1. And there it is, Reading 1 out of 3 points, and you're all set to go. You can just click in here and enter the scores. And if you're using SpeedGrader, you would just go to the assignment and click on SpeedGrader on the side. So I hope this helps you set up 2 basic kinds of assignments many instructors have to do.